In Coburg, Oregon in 1928, George Allison was born. When George was in the 4th grade, his family moved to McMinnville, where they bought and ran a small diner. It was named the 5 and 10 Dinette and was located on 3rd Street in the heart of downtown. In between his chores at home and duties at the diner, George devoted his free time to athletics. He quickly developed into an above-average athlete in every sport he tried, even defeating grown adults on the tennis and basketball courts while only in middle school. By the time he was a high school freshman in 1942, McMinnville High allowed him to compete at the varsity level in each of his sports due to his outstanding athletic ability. Standing 6 feet tall, George was the freshman phenom as he earned starting spots in football, basketball, and baseball. While filling the role of quarterback in football, he was the leader of the team as he earned all-league honors from his sophomore to senior years. As a senior, George led the Grizzlies to an undefeated regular season and the school's first ever league championship in football. The Bears performed well in their first ever playoff game, but with the score tied at the end of the 4th quarter, the Grizzlies lost the decision to Cottage Grove by having 9 less total yards than their opponent. In basketball, George played as a forward and earned all-league selections in his sophomore, junior, and senior seasons. In his senior campaign, Allison led the Bears to a 26-win and 5-loss record, which was good for their second straight league championship in basketball. Though the Grizzlies would come up short of the state title in the playoffs, George was selected to the all-tournament teams both years. As impressive as his football and basketball seasons were, it was in the spring when George Allison truly shined. He played and practiced on the tennis team, which was the sport he was most passionate about. Even as a freshman, George was the best player in school and was asked to be an unofficial player coach. He helped run the practices and taught the sport of tennis to many of his teammates. Allison was the league champion and all-star in his final 3 seasons, while making the state meet all 4 years. He achieved second in the state tournament in singles in both his junior and senior seasons. On top of his incredible tennis career, George also competed in track and field as well as being a starter on the baseball team, even though he did not practice with either squad. This meant that after tennis practice or meets, Allison would race over to the baseball field to fill in at shortstop and as one of the Bears' best hitters. Or he would rush to the track in order to participate as the school's best 440 runner in pole vaulter. By the time he was a senior, George set new school records for both of these events. He did all of this year after year while working at his family's diner and being involved in 6 different extracurricular school organizations.
I always admired his athletic ability, and as far as I'm concerned, he was the best all-around athlete that McMinnville has seen, or I have seen. And I think right now, with his athletic ability and his build, he would probably be an outstanding athlete in this day.
His folks had told him, you can play any sport you want to, but we'd rather you didn't play football. Early in the football season, George came home and he had his front 4 teeth knocked out. I said, well, what did your folks say? And he said, well, they really didn't say anything. And so he had his teeth replaced and just kept playing.
He played football and basketball and track and tennis, and he was probably in fact, he definitely was the best athlete on all those sports. So what was his best sport? I don't really know. But he was an outstanding tennis player. So that could have been his best sport.
He was just a really, really good quarterback. He could throw a pass and hit his mark, which is the main thing.
I think he was best at basketball of anything he played, but he was just an outstanding athlete.
Didn't make any difference what he tried. He just did it real well. Ping pong.
Besides being a good athlete, he was a great person. I mean, he didn't have any enemies, and no matter if you were underclassman, he still always spoke to you. He was always nice to you, and I never ever heard anybody say anything against him. He was just an outstanding person, and that's why I feel right now George could be an outstanding athlete and student, anything right now in this day and age.
As far as I'm concerned, George was probably the best all-around athlete that ever hit McMinnville High School.
Upon his graduation from McMinnville High School as the Letterman's Club president in 1946, George wanted to serve his country by joining the Army. He played basketball for 2 years for the All-Armed Services team while being stationed in South Korea. During that time, Allison achieved All-Star status while leading his team to Far East Regional Championship. In 1948, his service was over and George decided to enroll at Oregon State University, where he quickly became a freshman standout. The Beavers awarded him a full athletic scholarship to play both basketball and tennis. In basketball, Allison was the freshman team's captain while earning the team's Most Valuable Player award and led them to a 14-win and 1-loss season. Equally as impressive in tennis, he was OSU's top singles performer in just his first year, while the team went 5-2. In his sophomore through senior basketball seasons, the Beavers, who were coached by Hall of Fame inductee Slats Gill, struggled to find wins. However, Allison competed very well as he earned starting spots in his sophomore and junior years. Unfortunately, an injury kept him sidelined for his entire senior season, which ended a great basketball career. George ended a great tennis career at Oregon State with the record of 22 wins and 4 losses that spanned 3 varsity seasons. He finished each year as the first or second ranked player in the conference while leading the Beavers to an undefeated season in a conference championship as the team captain. After graduating from Oregon State with his education degree in 1952, George was given a teaching and coaching position at Montebello High School in Montebello, California. For the next 3 years, he taught physical education, was the assistant basketball coach and head tennis coach, while earning his master's from Cal State. In 1955, Allison transferred to Arroyo High School in El Monte, California, where he was the head basketball and tennis coach. He taught PE and social studies over the next 10 years, while leading the basketball team to a career record of 149 wins against only 62 losses. Over a 4-year span, his teams won 38 league games against 2 losses, while earning 3 league championships. Even more impressive was his career tennis record, which stands at 228 wins and 55 losses, while earning 8 league championships. In 1965, Allison moved to San Jose City College, where he coached basketball and tennis. After a successful year in both sports, George decided to return to Arroyo High School when he was offered a job in administration. He served as the assistant principal until his retirement in 1983 after 31 years of service. George and his wife, Mary Lou, then moved to Arcadia, California, where they owned and operated a trophy shop until 1990. To this day, George co-owns and manages Pacific Reflex Signs of McMinnville, which has been a family-owned business since 1945. George has remained involved in athletics over the years by competing in several city league sports. He was one of the top-ranked amateur tennis players in all of California for over 2 decades, while winning numerous regional tournaments. George Allison's diversity as an athlete has never been matched, and to this day he remains the only 5-sport letterman McMinnville High School has ever seen.